Right. Um, this is a follow-up call on macros, and specifically just some basic steps on how to begin tracking your macros and your calories, um, and seeing, being able to do that in order to help you with your fitness goals. Um, I am currently waiting on a couple of folks to join. I'm going to wait just a couple more minutes, and if nobody joins, then I'm just going to begin. This call will be recorded, so you can go back and watch it at another time. Uh, so I'm going to wait for maybe one more minute and then begin. All right, it's been about a minute. I'm going to go ahead and get started. The last live call that I did was on macros and specifically what the macros are. Your proteins, fats, carbohydrates, and what they do in the human body. How many calories are in particular macronutrients. Um, and I think that knowledge can be really helpful in trying to eat better and improve your nutrition and kind of align it with your fitness goals. Today we're going to be talking about, hopefully this will, hold on. Here we go. Going to be talking more specifically about tracking calories and macronutrients and how to fit that into your fitness plan in a way that helps you move towards your goals. So just a refresher on the macronutrients, you got three main ones. You got protein, carbohydrates, fats. Alcohol is kind of technically a macronutrient of its own, um, but I don't really count it. It's a semi-macro. Um, so protein and fats are absolutely essential to life, survival, and health. Carbohydrates are not necessarily essential, but they are helpful for a lot of people, especially if you lift weights and that sort of thing. Carbohydrates are a really good source of energy. So while they're technically not essential for life and survival, they are nevertheless important. Protein and carbs are 4 calories per gram. Fat is a whopping 9 calories per gram, meaning it's almost twice as calorically dense as it is over twice as calorically dense as protein and carbs. Um, Calories, okay. Calories are technically they're called kilocalories. Calorie is an abbreviation, and they're a unit of measure for food and beverages. Okay. Physiologically, calorie is basically the energy needed to raise the temperature of a gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. Um, so the idea, what you got to keep in mind with calories is that they're just a measure of energy. Okay, they're a measure of food, which is a source of energy. Okay, so that's the main thing you need to know about calories. Let's talk about some important terms. Some important terms when it comes to um, when it comes to tracking calories and understanding calories and macros are basal metabolic rate, body mass index, and total daily energy expenditure. Particularly the first and the third one, BMR and TDEE. Okay. So, what is basal metabolic rate? Okay. BMR is the number of calories your body burns at rest. Okay. For digestion, blood circulation, your heart beating, breathing, organ function, that sort of thing. Okay. This is a large, often the majority of the calories you're going to burn in a day. Okay. Um, and you might be surprised by the amount of calories that your body burns in a day. It's typically going to be like at least 50 to 70% of your daily caloric expenditure. Um, your BMR can change. Okay. So the more muscle you have, the higher your BMR is going to be. So we often think of like muscles as, oh, those are, just to look nice, look athletic or whatever, or be strong. They're also really important for speeding your metabolism up and helping you burn more calories or rest. So body mass index, this is a very general measure of your weight and height, and it kind of categorizes you based on your weight and height. Okay. It categorizes you either as underweight, normal, healthy weight, overweight, and obese. Okay. Now, um, I technically, based on BMR, am overweight. Okay. And I think that should tell you something about BMR. It's very, very general. It's not very specific or precise. Okay. I certainly am not, you know, I have not been told that I am fat, and I do not think I am fat. Um, but technically I am in the slightly overweight category of BMI. Okay. And so I don't think the BMI is very helpful unless you're really, really underweight or like very obese. Okay. If you're obese or underweight, then it's a helpful measurement to maybe help you come to terms with where you are. Um, if you're in either of those two categories, but I don't think it's really helpful for most people that are kind of in the middle. It can kind of mess with you, if like, yeah, and I've seen it mess with people, that are like relatively good shape, but they score overweight or something like that. And so then they are like thinking, oh, I'm fat, you know, and I don't think that's really helpful or accurate. You can have two people of the same size that have radically different body compositions. Somebody that's the same height and weight as one person can be lean and athletic and muscular, while the other one could be like fat, flabby, or pudgy. Um, so next is total daily energy expenditure, TDEE. All right. This is an estimation of the total calories you'll burn on an average day. It uses your BMR, activity level, age, sex, and weight to come up with this result. This is very important to know. My TDEE is somewhere around, I'll go over that. I think it's somewhere around 3,000 calories. I'll need to actually look at the exact number. But that's very, very important to know. And I'm going to link to a BMR and a total daily energy expenditure calculator at the end of this presentation. So when it comes to determining what whether you're going to do a caloric deficit, surplus, maintenance. Basically, when it comes to managing your calories and macros, it's really important to define your goals. Okay, so um, do you want to lose body fat? Do you need to lose body fat? Um, are you a skinny male that wants to gain some weight or gain some muscle? Do you just want to maintain your weight but maybe switch your macros up so that you can put on some muscle and burn some body fat, maintain the same weight? So really important to define your goals right off the bat. All right, now a sustainable approach to a caloric deficit or surplus is going to be uh, like 250 to 500 calories at a time. Okay. So a lot of people, particularly people that think they're overweight or are overweight, and decide they need to lose weight, they'll like, decide, oh, well, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to just like eat 1,000 or 1,200 calories, and I'll just lose tons of weight overnight. Well, the problem with that is that, it's not very sustainable, and it's going to tank your metabolism, because your body will start to realize, oh wow, I don't have enough calories to be running around and doing all this stuff. So I'm going to, you know, slow your metabolism down. I'm going to have less energy, and so your metabolism will slow down, you'll lose muscle, you'll lose water weight, you'll probably lose some fat too. And then when you go to, when you binge, or you go to start eating more like a normal person, or normal amounts of food, then your weight is going to go back up, and it's can be really psychologically challenging. So you want to start with a moderate caloric deficit or surplus, somewhere in the 250 to 500 calorie range. I'd recommend starting with the lower range, like 250 calories. Unless you're like morbidly obese, then maybe you could, start on the higher end, 500 plus calories. Um, in general, that's going to yield half a pound to 1 pound per week of weight lost or gained. At least on paper, assuming everything is normal, assuming your metabolism is relatively normal. Um, so, um, as far as your diet and everything, I would recommend a balanced diet in general. I think I don't think you should fall for like a fad diet. And I am not like one of these people that trashes diets, like I think the only diet I'm not a big fan of is the vegan diet. That's for reasons I'm not going to elaborate, but I have clients that have done keto, carnivore, that are on vegetarian and that sort of thing. I don't think that those diets are bad. I just think that for the vast majority of people, they're not super sustainable. And so I think that it can be kind of difficult jumping onto a fad diet thinking it's going to yield a magical overnight result. Um, and then like you feel really restricted, you are more likely to binge and then feel bad about binging. And like, as everybody knows, like after a weekend of binging, you go on the scale and you're up a couple of pounds, and it's like, oh, I got to start all over. And then you over restrict again, and then, eventually fall off the wagon, binge again, and it just turns into a cycle. So for the sake of sustainability, which is really important, I recommend a balanced diet, okay, for the vast majority of people. But I'm not necessarily against doing a more extreme diet like a carnivore or vegan or vegetarian diet if you really, really want to, or maybe need to for health reasons, or just decide to, and it seems to work for you. If it works for you, great. It doesn't work for the majority of people. The majority of people do not stick to restrictive diets over time. Hydration. Okay, so I hammer this drum a lot, but hydration is really important. And it's not because water is somehow magical. Water is very important, obviously. But the main reason is that it helps reduce hunger and overeating. Okay. When you're filled up on water, you're more full, and you're less likely to overeat and to, feel hungry enough to like snack and do things that are going to put you outside of your ideal calorie range. Okay, so hydration is a really important piece of a sustainable diet or weight loss approach. Regular exercise and activity. Um, that's very important. It can help support your weight loss and body fat loss. Like I said, I mean, more activity, obviously is going to burn more calories. And also, if you build muscle with exercise and training, that's going to raise your metabolism and raise your basal metabolic rate. So it's going to assist you with losing weight and leaning out. Um, Sleep and stress are really important. If you're getting Poor sleep or good sleep, either one can affect your appetite and hunger hormones in a negative or positive way. Um, so most experts recommend 7 to 9 hours of sleep, and especially if you have a busy life and go to the gym frequently, um, adequate sleep is very important. Where did this go? Okay, there we go. All right, so this is probably the part that a lot of people have been waiting for. What are ideal macros? Well, the truth is, you know, it's not there's not like a magical formula or ratio of macros for everybody. Okay. Macros are not magical. The main things to focus on when it comes to your macros are your protein. Okay. Is getting enough protein. That's like number one. Okay. Because if you just cut out protein, most of the weight you lose or don't get enough protein, a lot of the weight you lose is going to be muscle, and that's going to negatively impact your basal metabolic rate and your metabolism. Okay. That's going to negatively impact your ability to keep the weight off ultimately. And ultimately it's going to cause you to just, have more fat and less muscle, which is not a good look. And so in general, the amount of protein most people should be striving for is going to be between half to 1 gram per pound of body weight. Okay. Um, Now, if you see this and are thinking, oh man, I don't eat anywhere close to 1 gram per pound of body weight, that's fine. That's why I put the range in there because what your first goal should be is to get up to about a half pound of or a half gram per pound of body weight, if that's closer to where you are. So start with something, sustainable. Um, if 1 gram per pound of body weight is way too much for you to do right off the bat, then just do a half gram per pound of body weight. Start with that and then see if you can go improve from there. Um, Eating some fat is important in general. I would not go below zero point 0.3 grams of fat per pound of body weight. Um, Fat is more calorically dense, but it's also very necessary to normal hormone function and normal health. So zero point 0.3 to zero point 0.5 grams of fat per pound of body weight is generally what's recommended. Um, and honestly, okay, when it comes to the fats to carbs ratio, that's largely up to you. Um, as long as you're getting adequate fat and adequate protein, you can kind of let the carbs fill in what you're missing in terms of your calories. Okay. And you can kind of play around with fats. Okay. So, like fats and carbs. So, if you feel better eating more carbs, and this is really common for people that hit the gym a lot, um, they tend to do better with carbs. Okay. So do more carbs if you're all into the gym. Um, and if you don't go to the gym that often or don't really train that hard, maybe you prefer fats, go with more fats and less carbs. It's kind of up to you, honestly. All right. So some more food tracking basics. All right. So where do you begin? All right. So I'm going to kind of walk you through what I do, what I've been doing specifically for myself, and walk you through my goals and everything. Okay. But basically, what you want to do, whether you're trying to gain weight, lose weight, whatever your goal is, you want to find your TDEE. That's your total daily energy expenditure. That's the total calories you're burning on an average day. Um, you know, just throughout the whole day. All right. Find that in your body weight. Okay. Because obviously you need to know where you are in terms of your body weight, in order to know how much you need to eat to gain or lose weight. All right. So find your TDEE and body weight. Next, the most like straightforward, easy way to do it, or simple way to do it, is to track your food for a couple of weeks. You can use a tracking app, scale, writing down, measuring. Um, You can do this I would probably recommend trying to do it every day, particularly if your goal is to lose weight. Um, but at least do it, couple of days a week, you know. Um, and then what you want to do is you want to see if after you track your food, if you gain or lose weight or maintain weight. Okay. So if you track your food and you're honest, um, and you lose weight, okay, well, you're already in a deficit. Okay. If you maintain weight, you're at maintenance. And if you gain weight, you're in a surplus. Okay. And then you can adjust from there. So again, going back, 250 to 500 calorie deficit or surplus is probably what you want to start with. I would start on the lower end, because it's easier to, if you bite off more than you can chew, um, it's easy to kind of mess yourself up, like feel restricted, um, lose a bunch of weight on the front end, and then, maybe your metabolism slows, and then your weight loss stalls. I like the slow and steady approach. So once you find out what you're eating and whether or not it's putting you in a surplus or a deficit or maintenance, then you can subtract calories from that. You can add calories to that, or you can just keep it where it is. So um, that's what I would do. Um, Now, what if you are like totally averse to tracking? What if you just don't like the idea? What if it, messes with your head? What are some practical steps you can do to get in decent shape without really tracking anything? Okay. Well, number one, avoid and minimize processed foods. Okay. Those are foods that come in wrappers, packages, multiple ingredients, um, uh, not super tasty, and not satiating and not nutrient dense. Okay. So things like cereal, crackers, chips, fast food, stuff like that. Try to avoid those. Those things are engineered to make you overeat, and leave you feeling unsatisfied. And a lot, honestly, I mean, a lot of them, for being honest, a lot of them are not very healthy for us. So avoid or minimize those. Um, maybe you like eat super clean during the week, and then you have, some snacks, some dessert, or a fast food meal on the weekend. Don't go completely out of control, but just try and find a way to minimize that. Drink half a gallon to 1 gallon of water a day. I know that sounds like a lot, to some of you, but I promise if you do this, if you, and again, start with what you can. Don't, if you're like 1 gallon is way too much, start with trying to get to half gallon. You know, um, and what that'll do is that will help reduce your hunger, reduce the chances of you overeating because you'll be filled up on water. All right. Eat protein. Ideally, you want to aim for 1 gram per pound of body weight, when it comes to your protein. But if you're nowhere close to eating that, and that sounds like way too much to do right off the bat, just start with like half a gram and try to work your way up slowly from there. Okay. Cook more at home. That helps you control what you're actually putting into your body a lot more than if you're constantly eating out. Um, Lift weights, lifting weights, will help you build muscle, will help you raise your metabolism, raise your BMR. So very, very important. Um, and aim for about 10,000 steps a day. If you do all these things, even if you don't track, if you implement these things, then you're going to get in very good shape. Okay. Um, you're definitely going to progress from where you are if you consistently implement these things. Oh, excuse me. All right. Okay. So we're at the conclusion. I'm going to drop all these links into the WhatsApp chat. But let me go over kind of what I've been doing just to give you a very specific example. So I'm going to exit out of this. just to show you all what I've been doing for my own nutritional journey. Okay. So my TDEE is, let's see, calculate. Okay. Total daily energy expenditure. All right. Based on my metrics is a little over 2,800 calories. Okay. So about 2,800 calories a day is what I burn on an average day. Okay. So, um, now, if I wanted to, and now the nice thing about it is that it breaks it down for you. So if I wanted to lose weight, I could tell you now, if I went down to 2,500 calories, I would lose a lot of weight pretty quickly, at least a half a pound, if not a pound a week. Now that's just because I've been doing this for so long that I kind of know my body. I know, generally what I can eat in a day to maintain weight, gain weight, lose weight. So um, if I wanted to gain weight, which is actually what I'm trying to do, I've been at about 180-ish pounds, 180 to 185 pounds for a while. And I'm trying to slowly, gradually put back on some muscle. I've also been kind of like stuck in the same place strength wise. And because strength is kind of important to me, I am trying to gradually add muscle. So basically I'm eating between 3,000 to 3,300 calories on an average day. Okay, probably hitting about 3,200 pretty consistently. um so, and I can already, like, after 1 week of doing that, the scale is already, is already moved up by about a pound. um so yeah, basically, that's what I'm doing. So calculated my TDEE, looked at the metrics here, and my goal is to gain some muscle, but gain it slowly, not like, put on a bunch of fat. And so far, eating in this 3,000 to 3,300 calorie surplus has been enough to, for me to, remain lean in the midsection, feel good, and also feel stronger and slowly put on weight. So like today, I don't know if you can see, let me go back to my dashboard. Um, so today I've eaten 31 3,100 calories. Um, my fitness pal is set to a previous goal where I was trying to put on weight more quickly, so it's a little higher than I probably want it to be. It's set at about 3,500 calories as my goal daily caloric intake, but I'm pretty comfortable. I feel very full at like 3,200 calories. So I'm sticking to about, 3,300 calories on an average day. Um, my macros, um, go here. So my recommended macros are 50% carbohydrates, 30% fat, and 20% protein. Okay. Um, what I've done is, like, today, my fat was a little higher. My fat was at about 40%. Um, my carbohydrates were at 32%, so actually lower, lower than the goal by like almost 20%, which is fine. Remember, fats, carbs, it's whatever makes you feel good. I feel a little bit better having, um, having a similar amount of fats and carbs as opposed to lower fat. I tend to feel a little bit better with that so far. I might adjust that in the future, but so far that's been working for me. Um, Protein is at 25%, 190 grams today. So that's where I am. Okay. So that's kind of an overview of what I do. Oh, and so in terms of tracking. Okay. So I don't track every single day. Okay. What I do is I have, one dish that I take to work, or dishes of the same size. And what I do is one day I will um, measure some meals. I'll weigh some meals out. Okay. So I'll weigh the rice, I'll weigh the meat, I'll weigh the vegetables, um, you know, and I'll, create a meal that's um, a certain amount of calories that's going to fit into my calorie goal range. Um, and I'll just make a bunch of meals that I'll measure them out with a certain amount of carbs, certain amount of protein, some fats, uh, and I will just measure those out, package them up, and put them in the fridge. Okay. And I make sure that those meals are within my calorie range. Okay. So I'm not going over my calorie range. I'm not going way under. They're right around where they need to be, right around, 3,200 calories total for the day. And I will do that. I'll measure very precisely for one day, and then the rest of the week, because I'm using the same dishes, um that fit the same amount of food, I'll pretty much just I'll kind of eyeball it, and that's been working for me. So I decided I hadn't been tracking at all, but I decided that it was a good idea to start tracking a little bit. And so far that's been working for me. I'm putting on a little bit of muscle. I'm putting on a little bit of a weight, which is my goal. But it's going very slowly and sustainably. So that's my approach, is measure, but not like every day. I don't have time to measure every day. Um, so if you like, if you want to um, maybe have an idea of what you're eating and measure what you're eating, but you're like, I don't have time to do that every day, just like take your least busy day and just measure out what you're eating, and then try to implement some of the healthy habits, like, keeping your water, protein, and up and walking more, and avoiding processed foods, and that'll be a great approach. So, hope this is all helpful. As I said, um, oh, geez. Um, so I'm going to drop all these links in the WhatsApp chat. These are some very helpful calculators that I think are going to be really beneficial when you're trying to determine some of these things. Um, there's a link to buy a food scale off of Amazon. It's like $15 or something like that. Um, and I would definitely, if you want to start measuring what you're eating, um, you know, frequently, or at least have the option to, I would definitely recommend getting one of those. And also, I'm going to drop this link to this healthy recipes compilation from all recipes. Think that there are some good things in there that you will enjoy. So yeah, that's it. Let me know if you had any questions. Let me know if you enjoyed this, if you found it helpful, and what you would like me to cover next. And have a great weekend, y'all.